choosing us, the International Monetary Fund is encouraging the country's private international creditors to join the G20 members in cancelling Ghana's debts. The proposal is captured in the fund's documents covering the framework for the deal. George Wiafe has the rest of the story.
IMF in the document maintained that this move will go a long way to make the debts of Ghana and other countries that are working to sign up to the deal more sustainable. This is because just the debts of the G20 members might not be enough going forward to deal with Ghana's situation. It is not clear for now whether these international private creditors will indeed heed to the request coming from the IMF, and also what will be the implications for Ghana's attempt to return to the international capital markets in the next 3 years. The document showed that Chad, Ethiopia, Zambia are the only countries that have had their requests accepted and are currently in negotiations with these creditors on the form and the structure of the deal. However, Ghana is yet to enter into the negotiation phase on this debt cancellation. The document also showed that countries that have requested for the debt cancellation have already taken some steps to embark on some debt exchange deal with their domestic creditors, as well as interest payment freeze for their international creditors. Joy Business understands that Ghana's IMF deal could be fast-tracked with a board approval if it's able to secure some commitment from these creditors that it may move soon to cancel the country's debts. Sources close to the Paris Club have told Joy Business that they have agreed in principle to hold discussions with Ghana on the possible debt cancellation. However, there are still some uncertainties about the conditions that would come along should there be a debt cancellation by these international creditors for Ghana.
Meanwhile, Ghana's international creditors have given assurance they will fast-track discussions on the country's request for a debt cancellation. This is what Joy Business has picked up from persons working with the Paris Club of Creditors. Here's more in this report.
Joy Business understands that it was this commitment that has seen government press ahead with talks with these developed countries on the debt cancellation. Sources say the Paris Club have agreed in principle to engage Ghana on the possible debt cancellation. The discussion is being done through the G20 debt framework championed by the IMF. We also understand that the request was made by government because it was one of the ingredients that could fast-track the process when it comes to the IMF board approval for the country's economic program in the first quarter of this year. This will convince the IMF that going forward, a lot more is being done by government to ensure that it brings its debt to sustainable levels. Sources say, looking at the way the discussions are progressing, it is likely that the country could have its debts cancelled. However, it is not clear for now the stated condition. This is because this is the first time that the country has got its debt cancelled. It got a similar relief when it signed up to the HIPC initiative for poor countries in the year 2000. We also understand that this debt cancellation deal is different from other measures the government is already undertaking when it comes to its domestic debt exchange program, as well as its debt freeze for its external creditors.
Now, in a related development, a financial analyst says it is a step in the right direction, calls to Ghana's international creditors to fast-track discussions on the country's debt cancellation amid the IMF engagements. According to senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, Seriam Kawo, the move will ensure that the country's debt reach more sustainable levels. He spoke earlier on the marketplace.
Debt cancellation debate is a good way to go. It's a way to ensure that our debt sustainability level is much higher, so that we will be able to get the release from IMF on the loan agreement we want to raise with them on the $3 billion. And one of the issues that came up with the debt exchange program in the domestic market, and we've heard a lot about the individual debt holders calling for a class action, and they are meeting government on it. We have the labor unions talking about the pension funds. We have the financial sector players, the banks, and some other insurance companies also talking about withdrawing from this debt exchange program. That is going to give us a lot of issues when we want to go ahead with the IMF negotiations. And so calling on the bilateral debt holders to cancel the debt is a strategy to ensure that our debt sustainability level is much maintained so that we'll be able to go ahead to get the bailout and also free us and give us more room for more loans from the bilateral market.
Away from that, following the directive from the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, the implementation of the revised electronic transfer levy rate of 1% by telecom operators and financial services will commence tomorrow. That's Wednesday. Now, in a statement copied to Joy Business, the Telecoms Chamber Ghana has indicated that this has become necessary to reflect the rate as approved by Parliament in the 2023 budget and economic policy of the government.
Captured in Electronic Transfer Levy Amended Act, which has been passed by Parliament and assented to by the President, the levy on electronic transfers has been reduced from 1.5% to 1%, whilst the 100 Ghana cedi threshold remains unchanged. Members of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications expected to begin the implementation include Airtel Mobile Commerce Ghana Limited, GCB G-Money, Mobile Money Limited, Vodafone Mobile Financial Services Limited, and ZPay Ghana Limited. In a statement, the Chamber assured the general public that its members are working with the Ghana Revenue Authority and other key institutions to ensure seamless implementation of the revised levy from Wednesday, January 11, 2023. The levy was introduced in the 2022 budget as additional revenue mobilization to support government's quest to undertake some critical projects and improve the quality of service for the telecommunications industry. The levy, however, performed poorly in the first year of introduction as it failed to meet the target of more than 4 billion cedis.
Meanwhile, country coordinator of CATS International, Kusi Apia Domako, says the new rate should be reviewed further to 0.5% to boost compliance.
There is a body of evidence that suggests that high tax rate doesn't correspond to increase in revenue. The higher the rate, the more people try to find a way around it to avoid or evade taxes. Now that government has brought this, Parliament has brought the rate from 1.5 to 1.0, what it means is that those who in the past, because of the 1.5, avoided sending money and having to go and withdraw the money and deposit into a bank account or send a check, they will factor in the reduced rates, and then that will be a compelling reason for people who were not sending money because of the 1.5 to do so now. And also, because the rate was high, a lot of people found a way around it. They rather go to a Momo agent, deposit the money to the Momo agent, and then the other person into the other person's account. But I think with this rate, I'm not sure people will go around. So it's going to increase compliance and also result in increased revenue for the state. And even moving away from the telcos, you know, the financial sector is also part. The banking sector is also part of this. People who were also paying 1.5 now would also be able to enjoy some relief and to also stimulate the appetite for people to spend, to use the electronic means of transfer. So for me, and ideally, I am fundamentally against, levy, but the fact is that the law is what it is, not what it ought to be. Now that Parliament has passed the law and the President has also assented to it, we need to accept it as it is. But if you were to ask me, I think one of the key recommendations that I would want to make is that if Parliament can decide to bring it down to 0.5 and then take away all exemptions. In that way, we can make more revenue from the electronic transfers.
Well, some banks have expressed unhappiness with government's modification of the debt exchange program and its timeline, saying it is affecting their operations. According to Managing Director of FBN Bank Ghana, Victor Yawasante, the decision have had implications on their businesses. He, however, pointed out that the bank has met stakeholders and the government on the way forward. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Asante said his outfit is putting in place measures to communicate any development to its customers.
We've been engaging all players, which will be the government. The government is the one who's basically rolling it out. And whatever they do, they have implications for us and therefore our regulators as well. So there's been a lot of engagement since the announcement was made. Indeed, yesterday was the last major engagement between the banks and central government on some of the things we need, because we believe government has pretty much wrapped up on what it wants to change. There's been a lot of back and forth from the bankers' perspective, which is fed into some of the changes that came through. So that has also happened. So we wait to see. It's 16th, so we have a few days to go. So wait to see. We are now going to bake in all the changes and so on and see how it pans out. Well, if they give it to us, we'll be very happy. We can't pay and therefore we're in trouble. So if there will be cancellation, it's also always one of the conversations that go on when people are distressed, whether some of it can be forgiven. So if we can get that forgiveness, all the better. But for now, what we know is what's on the table is for the debt exchange, which basically means that you term out or you try to we are in default, as it were. We are in default, and we just having an agreement, orderly agreement, to try and pay back what we owe over a period of time through a negotiation. So that's what is on the table. If we get some freebies here and there, thank God for it, and hopefully it will mean that it will be less painful.
Let's turn our attention to the agri sector now, as Cocoa Board is forecasting about 750,000 tons of cocoa production this crop season. This is expected to be higher than the last season's production. Here's more in the following report.
Ghana achieved a historic feat of more than 1.14 million tons of cocoa production, about 45% increase in the 2020-2021 crop season. However, this fell significantly in the 2021-2022 crop season, though official figures are yet to be made available by Cocoa Board. But reports indicate that Ghana's graded and sealed cocoa arrivals stood at 350,000 tons by December 15 since the start of this crop season. This is up 76% from the 199,000 tons in the same period the previous year. The 2022-2023 crop season commenced in October last year. The producer price to be paid at all buying centers is 384 cedis per load of 30 kilograms for grade 1 and 2 cocoa beans, or 800 cedis per bag of 64 kilograms. A ton of 16 bags is, however, going for 12,800 cedis.